This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. It is Thursday, November 16th. My collar is semi-popped. It is also not the same shirt I was wearing yesterday. This was the restaurant I used to own. I have a million of these. It is laundry day. But why do you care? You guys don't care. You just want the picks. So, this is a big slate. There is also a free roll tonight. If you played, last Saturday and the slate got canceled, you are now in an NHL free roll with 86,000 of your favorite friends. Top prize is $500. I hate 12-game slates. Looking really healthy today. Yeah. Caffeine does that. Anyway, hope you guys did pretty well last night. I did okay. Put up 52.2. I left Mike Green off my Detroit stack like a rook, and that kind of screwed me a little bit, but still made some pretty good money. Made more money in NBA because Joel Embiid went bananas. But anyway, let's get to the 12-game slate tonight. Going to try to give you the picks to win all the money. Hopefully. First game of the night, we have the New Jersey Devils traveling to Toronto to face the Leafs. It's going to be more than likely Freddie Anderson against Corey Schneider. Let's talk about Austin Matthews is going to be out tonight, so let's talk about New Jersey first. I really like the top line for New Jersey. I know they mixed it up a little bit with Zajac back. It's going to be why does my depth chart still say Nico Hischier, Taylor Hall, Kyle Palmieri? Maybe it updated. But if that's the case, that's the line. Anyway, the Hall line is the line of choice for me, regardless of Hischier or Zajac as the center. They're probably going to get the Kadri line, but that doesn't really scare me too much anymore, especially with the defensive deficiencies that the Maple Leafs have. Freddie Anderson has been getting better as the season's going on. He isn't as leaky as he was in October, but the top line for New Jersey is definitely in play for me. From a Toronto standpoint, this is a huge slate, so there's a couple ownership spots that are probably going to be a tad chalky, but other than that, it's going to be spread out pretty evenly. Palmieri, good cash play on FanDuel, 5,600. Yes, just make sure he's with Hall, because I know I saw a little different line variation this morning, but if Palmieri's with Hall, then definitely a good cash play. Okay, I just saw that it was Zajac back. I thought they mixed it up, but the sheet that I have went back to what you just said. So yeah, Palmieri definitely in play, 5,600 cash on FanDuel. From a Toronto standpoint, you're probably going to get them pretty low owned. You're going to get a lot of teams low owned tonight. There's so many options tonight. But this is a decent spot for the, at least offensively, which is all that matters for DFS, for the JVR, Marner, Bozak line. Not a huge Bozak guy. But I think that line as a whole is in a decent spot, especially if you're not using Corey Schneider. He is cheap. 7,300. I think you can go there without Matthews in a GPP, but I like that JVR line tonight. If you want to use Riley with them at 5,100, I think that's appropriate. If you need a punt, Zaitsev and Gardner at the same price, 3,700. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're my favorite line tonight. They're my favorite line from Toronto. Schneider could take care of Toronto tonight. It's definitely possible. I'm just giving you the angles from both sides here. and I do have interest in the JVR line. New Jersey punts are on D. If you want to use Butcher at 4,000, I think that's a decent price for him. I wish he was under 4,000, but Severson at 3,300 is good. John Moore at 3,000 is good. If you want to chase points with Andy Green after a ceiling game at 3,200, feel free. Not my preferred option though. Freddie Anderson in net, I think he's more of a middle of the road play. You know, you can use him in GPPs if you're using the Leafs. You know, along with line ownership, goalie ownership is going to be really spread out. I think, you know, there's going to be a couple who have higher ownership, but I think from a general standpoint, this will be, you know, both these goalies will be pretty low owned. I think Schneider might be a little bit higher owned just because of his price. Hold on one second, guys. Sorry. If you heard me scream what to my little dude, he's running around. Okay, so that covers that game. Where do you get Ellie? I get him on Daily Faceoff or, you know, the beat writers. And then, you know, just to confirm, I'll check DFO around 6:30. Always pregame skates are the most important because you can have a line that is confirmed in morning skate, but then the coach changes his mind. So it's always best to check pregame skates for line confirmation. But DFO is up to the minute. But you're gonna have to check pregame. I have something different. I don't know why my sheet. Maybe I didn't upload my sheet, but that's my preferred line choice. But if it is Brown, I still like that line. I think Marner is cheap, but make sure to check at 6:30. It is one of the early. It is one of the two 7 o'clock early puck drops. So 6:30, the lines will be updated. It's definitely possible I made a mistake, Brock. I'm going to make mistakes with 24 teams going tonight. And my memory goes to crap when I go live. But anyway, I'll come back to that if we can get an answer on it. But let's move on to Carolina traveling to the Islanders to face the Islanders, to New York to face the Islanders. It's going to be Thomas Greiss against Scott Darling. Yeah, well, I had a slice of pizza every day for 10 years, so I've had plenty. I don't really have a lot of interest in this game. Obviously, the Islanders won at home is always in play. I just think, you know, for their price, there are some better options out there. But, you know, again, you're going to get them well owned. I don't like that they're going up against Carolina, they're a good defensive team. I think this is not the best matchup. And with 12 games, I think there are better places elsewhere. But if you're on the Islanders, you know, I have no issue with it. It's just not one of the top of the line plays for me, especially at the price. I don't even know if you need to go to the second line tonight. I know they're a little over 13,000 the full stack, but I think from a price perspective, I think there are a couple other lines I'd rather go to first. You know, like the Bo Horvat line, Arizona 1. You think New York 1 will match up with Stahl? More than likely, but you should check Adams' line matching article. I don't think that has an impact on the Carolina lines at all. This is the problem I have with Carolina tonight. I do like both the top two lines of Carolina. And they generate a ton of shots. The TSA line has been really good. Teravainen's coming off a hat trick. But we've seen in games before that they generate a ton of shots and they have trouble scoring. I like Thomas Greiss tonight at 7,700. I know the Islanders aren't great defensively, but again, I like Carolina. They're, you know, one of they're a good play for me. They're not up in the top in the elite plays for me, but I like Grice. So for me, I'm probably not going to be on Carolina. But if you are, I think the Lindholm Skinner line, I have a lean to that, especially if Stahl goes up against Tavares. Not that that's a huge defensive matchup. It's a better matchup for the second line of Carolina because they're going to get the Barzal line, who is much worse defensively. I just think it gives the edge. Okay, Brock says it should be Komarov, Kadri, Nylander, JVR, Bozak, Marner, Hyman, Marlowe, Brown, and then the fourth line if you like to set money on fire. So yeah, Marner, Bozak, JVR, go to for Toronto for me. So just from a matchup perspective, I think Carolina 2 gets a slight bump just because they're not going to see the Tavares line. No problem. That's what we're here for. On the blue lines, if you're going to use the top line of the Islanders, I'd go Leddy. If you're using the second line of the Islanders, I'd use Boychuk. On the Carolina side, if you want to pay up for Justin Falk at 4,600, you can do it, but I honestly would prefer Slavin at 4,100. Or even if you need a punt, I think Trevor Van Riemsdyk at 3,000 is a viable punt tonight. I don't know if you need to go Hannafin at 3,500. You can. I would prefer Slavin than TVR, then Hannafin, and then Falk if you want to spend up. So let's move on to the third game of the night. We have the Arizona Coyotes traveling to Montreal to face the Canadiens. My voice is already losing it. We're 3 games in. Okay. So let's start with Arizona. I put out an article today. DFO and Brock tweeted it out just as we were going live. But for my deep dive line, or deep punt, I wrote up Arizona 2. They're super cheap. They're just barely over 10,000 a full stack. It lets you fill out the lineup however you want. It lets you get in Carlson. It lets you get in Burns, people like that. And not that I think it's a great line tonight. I just, if they hit the score sheet once, if you're using that line, that's really all you need for them to hit value. And, I've seen on Twitter, people talking about the Sedins from Vancouver, about how they saw, a little uptick in minutes, which is true. They did see increased minutes on the road trip. They are back home. They're similarly priced. But the thing is, for me, I like Arizona 2 a little bit better than the Sedins. Not that ownership's going to matter if you're diving that deep, but Arizona 2 is going to be lower owned. They're probably going to get the third or fourth line of the Canadiens tonight. The line is Dvorak, Tobias Reeder, and Christian Fischer. Dvorak's the most expensive on that line at 3,400. Reeder is 3,300. Fischer is 3,100. They're probably going to be, under 2%, maybe under 1%. You never know. But if you really want to fit in the expensive guys like Tampa 1, San Jose, teams like that, and you want to pay up a defenseman too, you get the Carlsons in, you get the Burnses in, I think that's a good landing point, especially if you just need to punt a forward or punt a defenseman. You can use Reeder and Goligoski, Reeder and Demers. Even the top line is cheap. Domi is 3,800. Derek Steffen is only 4,300, I think. Clayton Keller is the most expensive one. He's 5,900. I think Arizona top line is in play tonight as well. I don't I'm talking about them like they're going to roll Montreal like 7-4. Like I don't think that's the case, but I think from a value perspective, I think it's a decent option tonight. Yeah, even against Lindgren, I like Lindgren tonight. Um, he's 8,300. Um, that's too expensive for me in GPPs. I think Lindgren's a decent cash game option tonight, but it is Charlie Lindgren. I know he's been really good. This just seems like a letdown spot for the Habs. They've been playing pretty well, but they just I've watched a few Habs games this season. Yeah, more like Charlie Roygren. Wagren. I fell for it. You got me. Perry's on a roll. But this just seems like a little bit of a trap game. I've watched the Canadiens play a few times this year. I don't know why I've done that. I just, I like to watch. I like to put myself into pain. But the Canadiens kind of play up to competition and they play down to competition. And Arizona hasn't won a game yet this season. And, they're probably going to get a little lackadaisical, I think. I think, not that Arizona's going to win the game. I still think the Canadiens are going to win this game. But I can see, yeah. It's because they always play down to their competition. And I think, I wouldn't expect, I don't think, Montreal is going to roll in this game. But this is a spot where everyone's expecting, Montreal to win 3-1, 4-1, 4-0, something like that. I think it's definitely very possible that Arizona can come in, score 2, 3, 4 goals, compete in this game. I don't know if they're going to win, but it definitely puts. I'll get to Markstrom. He's my boy. But yeah, we'll get to him. He's a late start, but I definitely think Arizona's in play in GPPs for sure. I like them tonight. From the Montreal side, the top line of Montreal definitely in play for me. It is Arizona. Again, they haven't won a game this season. The top line of Drouin, Galchenyuk, and Paul Byron in play for me. It definitely could be. I'm just one person. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and you definitely could be right, and I could be wrong. I just think the Habs play down to their competition a little bit. This could be a get right game for the Habs where they just steamroll. Oh yeah, you're from Montreal, so yeah, that could also be a little bias there. But I do like that top line tonight. They're cheap. I also like, the Pacioretty line. Getting exposure to the best player on the ice is generally a good idea in these type of games, and Pacioretty is that, at least from a forward perspective. If you can fit Shea Weber, that would be the play at 6,000. However, that is expensive, and maybe you want to spend up for Burns or Carlson, so you can use Petrie at 3,500. I think that's in play as well. From a goalie perspective, yeah, Pacioretty shoots a ton. I think he's a great cash game play tonight. Lindgren in cash is viable at 8,300. I don't want to keep repeating myself about why 8,300 is too much to spend on a GPP. I just feel that way. I like to spend down on GPPs. On the flip side, Antti Ranta, this isn't a good matchup for him, I don't think. Even though his price is 6,900, I think there's other goalies you can go to tonight. You don't really have to get that crazy. You can if you're using the Coyotes. Show up. Yeah, they correlate on the power play, so you can definitely go there. Ranta, again, GPP flyer only, especially if you're using Coyotes. I wouldn't really, one-off Ranta unless you absolutely needed the salary and hope that you can sneak a win. So let's get to the next game tonight. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins traveling to Ottawa to face the Senators. We have Craig Anderson facing Matt Murray. Guy Boucher actually put Mike Hoffman on a real line. It's Mike Hoffman, Derek Brassard, Mark Stone. This game is going to be, as the kiddies say, lit. Do the kiddies say that? I don't know. I love Ottawa tonight. I wrote them up as my favorite play tonight. They're probably going to be fairly chalky, and that's okay because there's so many secondary options you can get. You can differentiate elsewhere. Stone, Broussard, Hoffman, Carlson. That is expensive, but there is ways to get it in. That's what she said. Eric Carlson is 7,100. So that full line with Carlson will be, almost 26,000 between the four of them, but it's possible to get them in. And I think having all four of those guys on power play one also definitely against the Pittsburgh team that struggles defensively and has a weak PK, even though that Murray is pretty good. I like it. If you want to go to the second line, yeah, sly grin. Maybe I'm doing it. The second line, I think, is also viable. Matt Duchene, newly minted Matty Duchene, is with Bobby Ryan, who's coming back. He's 4,400. I think this is a good way to get exposure to this high ownership game at lower ownership. This is kind of like the spot for Nashville 2 was in the other night, albeit it's a little more expensive, but definitely a viable play. If you're going to use the second line, I think Dion Phaneuf at 4,600 correlates a little bit better. Again, if you can fit Carlson, that's preferred. If you really need a punt, Cody Blockmaster CC at 3,200 is in play. From a Pittsburgh side, what do we do with Pittsburgh? Right? Pittsburgh's always in play. I'm not high on Craig Anderson. Carlson's going to be out there for 512 minutes. Now, he'll probably be out there 27, 28, 29 minutes tonight. Going up against Crosby. I think, if you are going to go to Pittsburgh, I think the Malkin-Kessel line has a little bit of an edge. I think you can go there. I prefer, as crazy as it sounds, if you're going to use a blue liner from Pittsburgh, I prefer Schultz at 3,800 to Letang at 5,800. Schultz they've been rotating on the power play. So I think, Schultz getting that top power play exposure at 3,800 is a very good play. In net, if you're using the Senators, I think you can use Craig Anderson. This could be, like a 5-4 high-scoring affair. But I could also see the Senators, winning 4-1, kind of like how the Penguins beat up on the Capitals the other night, except reverse, if that makes any sense. I think Ottawa wins this game. Craig Anderson, Matt Murray, GPP plays only. I don't think you need to go there in cash tonight. The Ottawa top line's probably going to be matched up against the bottom six line for the Penguins, and their lack of depth is really, really bad. So, again, Ottawa 1, Ottawa 2 in play. If you're going to use Pittsburgh, which I almost never do, but I completely understand if you're on them, especially in GPPs, I'd lean Malkin line and then the Crosby line. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Dallas Stars traveling to Tampa Bay to face the Lightning. Yes, I do use Pittsburgh in cash. I just don't like to use them in GPPs because they always have more ownership than they should. Or not than they should I say, but they're always fairly chalky. Winnipeg 1 will outscore Tampa 1 tonight. I'm calling it now. That's what you said. Definitely possible. Tampa Bay 1, also $2,000 more expensive. I think you can use Duchene tonight, yeah. Stastny, I don't know if you need to go there. But I prefer Duchene if you're asking either or. So I think Dallas, this is a sneaky good spot for Dallas tonight. I just have a weird feeling that they're going to go off tonight. It's Ben, Sagan, and Radulov back together. Finally. Yeah, Stasny doesn't shoot. That's my big deal. That's my big problem with mid-price centers. They don't shoot the puck. I think this is a sneaky good spot for Dallas tonight again. I think Tampa Bay is going to be chalk because they're always chalk because they're nasty. And Vasi is 8,100. Yeah, Sagan was absolutely terrible on Tuesday, but back with real line mates, I think he bounces back. I think this is a really good spot to get Tampa or Dallas low owned because I think everybody's going to be on Tampa in this game, rightfully so. But that is one of the top lines in the NHL. Might not be a thing. No. Well, if it is a thing, I want it to be my thing. But if it's not, Ben Radulov is the preferred play for me. Klingberg on the blue line. If Sagan is not with Ben or Radulov, I really don't see. Oh, so it's Janmark, Ben Radulov, Smith, Sagan, Shore, Ellie, Hansel, Spezza. That's kind of a bummer, but I really like Janmark up there with. Yeah, and if you want to use Janmark with him, yeah, it's not for sure because I saw conflicting stuff. Brock saw conflicting stuff. Make sure you check Daily Face-Off. There's going to be a lot of news tonight. Brock's going to be that cat.gif going like this for 2 hours. So make sure you check for DFO for the warm-up lines. If Sagan is not with Ben and Radulov, I don't really have interest in Sagan. But if that line is together, I really want to use that line. They're going to come in low owned. It's a sneaky good spot. On the flip side, Tampa 1. What do you really... There's nothing I can say at this point that is going to be revolutionary. They're expensive. They're matchup proof. They're probably the best line in the NHL. If you're on them, use them. If you can fit them with Hedman, do it. If not, Sergachev, it's not a bad option with them. Dallas has improved defensively from last year. Yeah, they need a bunch of goals, but that's what they do, though. Stamkos and Kucherov had multi-point games like pretty much every game of the season. Yeah, and I know that Dallas has improved defensively, but they're still not great. This is the Ben Bishop revenge narrative. Back in Tampa. So he'll be, more motivated than usual. I just don't know if I want to go there. I really like Tampa again. I'm going to fade Tampa on GPPs just because they're going to have too much ownership on a 12-game slate. I think, there's slightly better options, hopefully. But yeah, Tampa 1 definitely in play. I think it's fading. I wouldn't. The thing with Nemestikov is sometimes he doesn't shoot. Like last year, he didn't shoot at all. And he was always like 4,300. Now he's up to 5,900 because he's actually shooting the puck a little bit more. If you want to use Nemestikov in cash to get exposure to that top line, I think it is. That is also true. They know his Bishop's weakness, and he is a big goalie, so his movement's always an issue. So if you want to use Nemestikov in cash to get exposure to that top line, because if they score, more than likely, Nemestikov is getting on the score sheet. So you can definitely make a case for it in cash, yes. Vasi at 8,100. It's a little too expensive in GPPs. You want to use them in cash. Not thrilled about it. I know he is one of the best goalies in the NHL right now, but I think I'm probably not going to go there in cash. Really hard to fit Tampa 1, Hedman and Vassie in a GPP. So I'll probably pass there as well. Bishop at 7,100. This is a really tough matchup for him. I'll probably pass too. If you're using the stars and you need the salary relief, I think you can go to Bishop in a GPP. But other than that, I'd probably fade him. So let's go to the next game of the night. We have the Nashville Predators traveling to Minnesota to face the Wild. It's going to be Devin Dubnyk against more than likely Pekka Rinne. I like the top line. I like both top lines in this game. I'll probably favor Minnesota's top line. I call the Minnesota's top line the Stahl line. Stahl, Niederreiter, Zucker compared to the Nashville top line, only because it very well could be Doobie's 4 straight shutout. I am not a huge Nashville on the road guy. They play so much better at home. I don't know if you watched the Predator Capital game on Tuesday. It was legit like a college basketball arena. That's how loud it was in there. I think they definitely thrive from the home crowd, kind of like how Vegas does with their home crowd, albeit, Nashville's a much better team. The Koivu line is going to be up against the Johansson line, so, that doesn't really excite me from Nashville. CarrieUnderwood.gif for sure. I had a really bad joke that I almost said, but I'm going to keep that to myself. I definitely think this is going to be a low-scoring game, but I definitely like the Stahl, Zucker, Niederreiter line. They were kind of quiet. I know they scored a goal like 11 seconds in, 21 seconds in, something like that last game, and they were quiet until the empty net. They put 2 on the empty net. So I can realistically see this being like a 2-1, 3-2 type of game with both goalies being in play. I like Dubnyk. He is a little bit pricey at $8,000. He is coming off 3 straight shutouts. I think he is in play. The Predators do struggle on the road. But at the same time, Pekka Rinne at 7,300 is in play for me as well. He's really expensive on FanDuel, yeah. I don't know if you need to go there on FanDuel. I like Pekka Rinne in this game. I think, he can definitely shut down the Wild, especially with Kyle Turris now in the lineup for Nashville. So, if the Koivu line's up against the Johansson line, the Turris line's going to be up against the Stahl line. And Turris is a much better defensive center than what they had before. I know Nick Bonino is back now, which just bolsters Nashville's defense, and they're really good on the blue line. I really like Pekka Rinne tonight, 7,300. I think you can go there as well. Definitely in a GPP. I don't know if I go there in cash. You can definitely make a case for it if you're spending down. If you need to go under 7,500 on DraftKings, I think Pekka Rinne would be the go-to spot in cash, if you're spending under 7,500 on DK. But again, so both goalies in play. Preferred line in this game would be the Stahl, Niederreiter, Zucker line. If you want to use Nashville, I think the top line is an okay play. But again, I really like Dubnyk and Rinne. If you're using Nashville, Yossi at 5,900, that's a really good price for him. PK Subban's down to 5,000. He hasn't really done much after the first 6 games this season. I think Matthias Ekholm is a good play at 3,700 as well. So he has a ton of minutes on the ice. He had a really good game last time out, so he might have a bit more ownership than he should. Yeah, PK has been brutal. He had a really good start to the season, and then he just kind of disappeared. If you're using the Wild, I think Spurgeon at 4,800 is the preferred play. You want to use Suter at 4,700, definitely viable. And Matt Dumba Dumba 55 at 3,400 is a viable punt. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Philadelphia Flyers traveling to Winnipeg to face the Jets. How disappointing was Winnipeg 1 last time out? killed a really good lineup that I had, but that's okay. It's a long season. Justin Falk, Teravainen, or Ekholm Arvidsson. In cash, I'd probably lean Ekholm Arvidsson. But it's close. So the Philadelphia Flyers are traveling GPP. Ekholm Arvidsson, I think, is a little bit better play. Just a little bit. It's really preference for me. Carolina does shoot the puck a bunch. So this is kind of a tough game to read for me. The Philadelphia top line is always in play, especially because the Winnipeg penalty kill is so bad. And they're all together on the power play. Again, it's going to be Hellebuck against Brian Elliott. I like Hellebuck, but I also like Philadelphia top line. So if you're not using Hellebuck, I think the top line of Flyers are in play. I think they're one of the better plays tonight, just because, based off the standpoint that Winnipeg takes a bunch of penalties. Their PK at home is really bad. I know they had a good showing last time out on the PK, but it was against the Coyotes, who don't have a very strong power play. So you're using Philadelphia 1, if you can fit in Ghost to 5,300, I would do it. There's a couple decent punts. I think you can, Radko Gudas at 3,100. Too bad penalty minutes don't count. Brandon Manning's not bad at 3,100. That's really about it. I mean, if you want to spend the 5,000 for Provorov, I'd rather pony up the extra 300 for Ghost. Now on the flip side, I'm still standing with Winnipeg 1 at home, Winnipeg 2 on the road. I know Winnipeg 2 did the scoring besides the depth last game. I much prefer Winnipeg 1 tonight. They are really expensive. They're almost 20,000 to full stack. I think you definitely go back to the well on them. Scheifele, Wheeler, and Kyle Connor. Scheifele is down 500 from 78 to 7,300. Same with Wheeler. Connor is down 100 to 5,000. So you're saving 1,100 compared to last game. The one thing I will say about this line is that I do like Brian Elliott and GPPs. Not to say that I wouldn't use Winnipeg 1. I think they're, Perreault is probably not going to take a top 6 spot right away. Yeah, I mean, Ehlers and Laine have been so good. The thing, I know Brian Little scored last game, but he has really done nothing over the past 15 games. That's why it's always a preference for me. You can use either of the lines. I think my rule when I stack Winnipeg is I like to use the 1s at home and the 2s on the road. But if you want to use Winnipeg 2, obviously that's in play. I think they're both really good plays. Again, I do like Brian Elliott, 7,000. I think, that is a very cheap price for him for his potential upside. Yeah, Perreault is on the 4th line. He's getting eased back into it. I think, if he can prove he's healthy in a couple games, he might move up. Yeah, he can move up. He may move up to the 2nd line. We'll see. But that's a discussion for another day. Again, I think both the Winnipeg lines are in play if you're not using Brian Elliott. I think if you're using Philadelphia 1, I think Brian Elliott's definitely in play. I think that's a good GPP option at 7,000 if you need the salary relief. Winnipeg on the blue line is interesting. I think you can go Trouba at 4,900 would be my preferred play. Bufflin if you want to spend up at 5,700. Morrissey is a decent punt at 3,200. So is Tyler Myers. He has the power play time at 3,500. And that's about that. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Washington Capitals traveling to Colorado to face the Avs. It's going to be Varlamov against Philip Grubauer. I wrote up Colorado 1 tonight. I think they're in a really good spot. I don't think Colorado as a whole is very good. But they're building for the future after the Duchesne trade. But I think Nathan McKinnon is coming into his own as he's always been really good, but I think, he has a chip on his shoulder and he's going to prove he's one of the best centers in the NHL. The line is very cheap. I really like McKinnon at 5,100 with Landeskog at 5,000 and Mikko Rantanen at 4,500. I think that is definitely a viable line tonight. It's not overly expensive. It'll let you fit in the more expensive stuff. And the thing that I really like about it is not that, Tyson Berry's out. I don't really like that. But because he's out, Samuel Girard, the guy they got in the Duchesne trade, he's 19. He's 3,400. He's super talented. I think, that fits really well with Colorado. One, frees up a bunch of salary to get in players elsewhere. I don't think Grubauer is very good. The Capitals are pretty poor on the blue line. Would you play McKinnon, Riley, and Cash over either Kopitar, Couture, and Heed? I think it's viable. Couture is one of my favorite plays tonight. Just because Couture and Heed are some of my favorite plays in Cash tonight. Just because the Panthers' PK is awful. They're so bad. Huberdeau is in, but he's not healthy. I don't know if he's going to make it the whole game. But we'll get to that when we get to that. I think you can go either way. But for me, the Sharks and Cash are a little bit better play than the Avs. I like the Avs in GPPs, though, for sure. Grubauer is bad. The blue line's bad. I think this is a very high-scoring game. A relative term. I think it's like a 4-3 game. What did I say? I know it's Tim Heed. Yeah, at the time he was writing the article, Huberdeau didn't skate this morning, so we all assumed he was out, but he was confirmed in. We'll see. That's something definitely to monitor. From a Washington side, I think the Ovechkin line, I guess they're Washington 2 now, really, would be my preferred play. Ovechkin, Kuznetsov. If you really want to fit in Devontae Smith-Pelly for salary relief, go ahead. I'm not too high on the Capitals tonight. I think, John Carlson at 5,600 is really good value. He plays a ton of minutes. He's on the top power play. I think you can go there as well. Goalies in this game, I have no interest in Grubauer at 7,200. Varlamov, always an interesting GPP play at 7,400. He's either, giving up 4 goals on 17 shots, or he's giving up 1 goal on 47 shots and winning. So I think, the ceiling that Varlamov has, makes him an intriguing GPP play. He has a low floor, but a high ceiling, which is what you want for, GPP plays. So I think if you're using the Avs, Varlamov makes sense. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the St. Louis Blues traveling to Edmonton to face the Oilers. It's going to be more than likely Cam Talbot against Jake Allen. I think the top line of Edmonton is in play. I think both top lines are elite plays tonight. They're both over 20,000 the full stack. Tarasenko is back with Shen and Schwartz. I love the Blues tonight, especially that top line. Edmonton isn't good defensively. I know Talbot has been good. Clefbaum hasn't been good, though. Nurse is their best defender right now. The McDavid line has been getting roughed up by other teams' top lines defensively. I definitely think you can make a case that the St. Louis top line is one of the best plays of the night. Probably top 5, maybe even top 3. Same with... yes, they do. The same with the McDavid line, because it's McDavid and Draisaitl together are amazing. If you're using Edmonton, you can use them with Clefbaum, but like he just mentioned, St. Louis is a very good team. They're physical. They have a very good defense. I'm not overly worried the St. Louis one's going up against Ryan Nugent-Hopkins lines because Lucic is on that line and he is just skating in cement. So I just think St. Louis one is one of the elite lines in the NHL. I think this is a good matchup despite being on the road. Edmonton one's always in play, even if they get, I think they're going to avoid Stastny. So I think they're always in play. They'll probably be a little bit higher owned. But if you can fit them in with Clefbaum, yeah, he's coming downstairs. If you can fit him in with Clefbaum, do it at 5,400. Darnell Nurse is a good punt at 3,400. For the Blues, I don't know if you need to spend up for I don't know if you need to spend up for Pietrangelo, 6,400. But you can. Pyarko's okay at 4,200. Joel Mundison, block shot City at 4,100 is also okay. Goalies in this game, Cam Talbot, 7,500, I think is a viable GPP play. I'm not thrilled about it just because the Blues can go off. But if you're using Edmonton, I definitely think he's in play. Jake Allen is intriguing because he's 4,200. I think you can make a case for him in GPPs as well. Do you want to come sit? No? Talbot and Cash. You can make a case for it. I personally wouldn't go there. You want to go to sleep? Why'd you come down then? You want to come sit? Talbot and Cash, I think you can go there. It's not something I will do. You want help? Ugh. There you go. But again, like I was saying, I think there are better options in Cash, even if you spend down on DraftKings than Talbot. I think my boy Jacob Markstrom for $100 more. What do you want? Markstrom is better playing Cash tonight. You want the donut? Where is the donut?
Right there.
Oh. Sorry. But yeah, we'll get to Markstrom right now. So let's get to the next game of the night. We have the Vegas Golden Knights traveling to Vancouver to face the Canucks. It's going to be Markstrom against Legacy, Succacy, whatever you want to call him. I thought Dylan Ferguson was going to start, but his save percentage in the minors is like .880, which is awful. Subban practiced today. He's almost back. Fleury should be back soon, but that doesn't matter. Legacy's in net tonight. I think Vancouver's in a good spot. I really like the Horvat, Barchi, Bozier line. I think you can go there for sure. I don't know if you need to go to the Sedins tonight. I get why people are doing it. Vegas isn't good on the road. I think they might have a little bit more steam than they should. What do you want? Oh, here. I think the Sedins are getting a little more steam than they should. Vancouver 1 or Colorado 1 is my preferred play in GPPs over Vancouver, but Vancouver definitely in play. Ownership considered, I'd still go Colorado. It's a big slate. I know the Sedins are cheap. I know they're facing the Golden Knights. But I would prefer, if you really need to go down and get that salary savings, I'd rather go Arizona 2. Vancouver 1 definitely in play. Yeah, if people want to chase the Sedins, they can chase the Sedins. I'm personally not going to do it. I think, Del Zotto, if you're going to use the blue line on Vancouver, is the preferred play, 3,800. If you want block shot City with a little offensive upside, Edler at 3,300 is in play. And then Derek Pouliot is a good punt as well, 3,100. And if you look at the daily notebook that we put up on DFO, I rated Jacob Markstrom as my number 1 goalie tonight. It is price considered when I do it. I don't know if Brock and Adam consider price when filling it out. What?
It's there.
Oh, you see it? So I really love Markstrom tonight in any format. I really like to use him at home. This is a good matchup for him. Vegas struggles on the road. They're a much better home team. I think Vancouver wins this game.
Daddy. It's squishy. What pink?
Oh, that thing's going to rock me in the face. Yeah. Whatever it is, I don't even know. He's going to smack me, but that's fine. Oh. See? I don't know if you need to go to any of the Vegas lines tonight. Be careful, don't hit yourself in the face. I'll get to top 3 goalies in cash when I finish up the last 2 games, and then I'll take all those questions. But I really like Markstrom in any format. Again, if you want to go to Vegas, I don't know if there's any reason to. I like the Riley Smith Marchessault line preferred.
I got it, Daddy.
You can use the knee line. I just think this is, despite what do you want? The sticker. It's on the computer. So, but if you're going to, even though Vancouver is not the best defensively, I still think this is a good matchup for Markstrom and the Canucks. Horvat line definitely in play. Goalies as mentioned. No interest in Legacy at 7,100. I'm going to be all in on Markstrom at 7,600 because I love Markstrom. And maybe that's a bad bias, but I will definitely give you more options than just play Markstrom because there is a huge slate. I'm playing Markstrom. It's no secret. But yeah. So let's move on to the 2 late games tonight. We have the Boston Bruins traveling to LA to face the Kings. Boston's on a back-to-back. They are decimated with injuries. It's going to be probably quick against Anton Khudobin. Yeah, I know. Maybe I'll get one for Christmas. I'll ask. What do you think? Should I ask Santa for a Markstrom jersey? No? I'm not in love with this Kings game tonight. Yeah. Yeah, Quick is definitely in playing cash. Avery. Quick definitely in playing cash. I don't know if I have too much interest in this game at all from an offensive standpoint. I think there's, the Bruins were unlucky last night, but Bruins are back-to-back on the road. Bergeron's going up against the Kopitar line, which is going to cancel those guys out. I think, the second line for the Kings will outplay Boston too. I think you can go there in a GPP. LA too. I think, they're always in play, but I'm not huge on them tonight. I just don't like this game from an offensive standpoint. Krug is a game time decision now. So maybe, it bumps up LA a little bit. If you're using LA too, Muzzin or Alec Martinez, I don't really have too much interest in the Kopitar line. Especially going up against Bergeron. They're 2 of the best defensive centers in the NHL. I think they're going to cancel each other out. But, if you are going to use them, Doughty is the preferred choice on the blue line. With Boston being back-to-back on the road, with all the injuries that they have, Quick is definitely the lock, a cash game lock if you're using him. He's super expensive, though. He's $8,400 on DK. If you're spending up a goalie in cash, Quick is the play. GPPs, again, probably going to fade Quick at the price just because I don't like spending up above $8,000. Anton Khudobin at $6,900. I do like his price. In cash, he's going to be worth every penny. I don't know about GPPs because if he gives up 1 goal, he's not going to be the top goalie of the night. I can tell you that. But he is very safe to win this game. Khudobin and GPPs could be an interesting flyer. I don't know if you need to go there. This is not the best matchup, but he is $6,900.
Working?
Yeah, I'm working. Yeah. It's not the best matchup, but, if you are using, Bergeron, Pasternak, can you use Khudobin? Yes. Is it one of my favorite plays? Not at all. I think, this game as a whole, other than Quick, I'm probably going to be fading completely.
This is soda.
That is my soda. So let's get to the last game of the night. We have the Florida Panthers traveling to San Jose to face the Sharks. It's going to be Martin Jones against Roberto Luongo. Huberdeau, questions about him. He is in. He isn't 100%. I don't know if he's going to play the whole game. That's something to monitor. The Sharks lines were also in question, but it is going to be Donskoy, Thornton, and Pavelski, and then Couture, Hurdle, and Carlson. So I wrote up the San Jose power play. I think that is a good way to get exposure to this game because the Panthers' penalty kill is really poor. Obviously, my preferred would be Couture, Pavelski, Burns. I know that's expensive. Tim Heed, definitely in play as well. He's only 4,100. Probably has the best shot on the Sharks. I don't know because I hope people use Joe Thornton. I just don't like. What's up? I don't think at 4,100 I get why people are going to play him. I just think he has a low floor and a low ceiling. He's admittedly not 100%. So my preferred play would be Couture, Pavelski, Burns. If you can't fit in Burns, Heat is a good option. I like the second line if you're going to use a line in this game. Couture, Hurdle, and stop. And Carlson. Again, if you can fit in Burns, I think this is a really good spot. If not, Heat at 4,100 is a good secondary option. From the Florida side, I have concerns about the top line because of Huberdeau's health. I don't know what's going to happen if he gets hurt. Yeah, we'll go up when we're done. We're almost done. So I think fading Florida just because of the Huberdeau issue is what I'm going to do. If you want to use Florida 1, they are one of the best lines in the NHL. Again, you can go there. They're around... Yeah, last game ended Couture, Hurdle, Pavs, but what's his name? That Sharks beat writer, the one who writes for The Athletic, had Thornton in between Pavelski and Donskoy.
I broke it.
You broke it? It's okay.
Yeah.
Florida's around, the play around,
Fix it.
the Islanders for me.
Later.
Yeah, Thornton's not healthy, but so I don't know if they're going to make it through the whole game with those lines. That's why I want exposure to the power play. Just why, the same reasons why I'm probably going to fade Florida 1 because the Huberdeau concerns. Florida 1 is an okay play. I mean, San Jose is better at home. Martin Jones is generally a better goalie at home. You can roast me for this take, but I think Aaron Dell is a better goalie than Martin Jones. But this is a decent spot for Jones. If you're using Florida 1, I think you can use Yandel at 4,500. Really, I don't think... It's more of middle of a road play for me. Again, goalies, Martin Jones at 8,000. You can make a case in a GPP. I'm probably going to fade just because I'm not going to spend $8,000 for a goalie. Luongo at 7,300. Any interest in Tampa Bay line 2? Yes. I like Tampa 2s as a secondary option tonight. They're a little bit below, like Colorado 1, Vancouver 1, but they're definitely in play. You're going to get them really low owned. So Luongo at 7,300 would be a GPP fly for me. The penalty kill concerns scare me. But if you're using the Panthers, Luongo makes sense. So we just covered the 12-game slate in 1 hour, which isn't too bad. We had a guest appearance from the little dude. Does anyone have any questions, concerns? What?
In there.
He's going shopping? Someone did ask top 3 cash game goalies. I think Quick, for sure.
30.
Hopefully my lineup wins the penalty kill.
Yeah, it's okay.
Quick, Dubnik,
I took. I got it.
Markstrom would be my, and Lindgren would be cash going. Top 2 GPP lines. Ottawa 1,
30.
some form of the Sharks power play. I mean, that's a pretty big price disparity. Definitely getting Patches. If you can fit him with Weber, I think that is the preferred play. I don't mind him with Dano, though. I think you get a good correlation, even though it's cash. I like Dano. I think he's underrated. Yeah, this is a huge... Yeah, no, that's the problem. And that's the problem I have with most, centers in cash. I always like to find shooters. That's why I said I prefer Weber, but it is a big price disparity. There aren't many cheap centers that shoot, Yeah, playing Heed and Burns together, definitely viable. Eric Johnson cash, yes, I like that as well. Best D-man under 5,000 on DraftKings. Bless you, buddy.
Baba.
What'd you do with it? Probably Tim Heed at 4,100 would probably be my favorite D-man under 5,000. Heed, for sure. I don't mind Dion Phaneuf either at 4,600. Is it upstairs?
The bike.
Don't spill it.
Huh?
Don't spill it. So, if I missed Jones in the GVP, I like Jones in the GVP. I think you can make a case for. I'm just not a big fan of spending up for goalies. Sharks, other than power play 1, I like the second line as a whole. I do like the top line. Pavelski's super cheap for Pavelski. I'm not a huge Thornton guy, but I do like Donskoy. I think he's really talented, and he's cheap. In GVPs, I just want to get the correlation from the power play. I wish it was Couture, Pavelski, Hurdle. I'd be all over that line tonight, but it may end up getting together partially through the game. But big fan of the Sharks tonight. Hold on. So if I didn't get to your questions, you can find me on Twitter, JRH002DFS. I will take your questions there. I'll also be in the premium chat tonight. We have the optimizers. We have the projections. We have AD's line matching article. We have my article that I put out today. Good luck tonight. Again, if I didn't get to your questions, I'm sorry I missed it. You can mention me on Twitter. But good luck, everybody, tonight. Hope you guys win some money, and we will see you tomorrow.